Welcome to this second screening of the Peter Gidal Focus. There's a little change of program. Peter Gidal was supposed to introduce this one, but he asked me if he could go and visit our local flea market, so that's where he is now. But he'll be there at 8 o'clock tonight in the lobby for a book presentation, the book Flare Out Aesthetics 1966-2016. For those who were there yesterday, I found his introduction really amazing, so I suppose it will be as well tonight. But I'm not just by myself. Mark Webber, who edited the book, is here and may want to say a few words of introduction to the screen. Mark?
Thanks. Hi, thanks for coming. Well, first I'd just like to thank Olivier and Nicola, Hilda, the people at Cinematheque, for the ongoing support of the Visible Press, the small imprint that I started with my wife, Maria, a few years ago. I was here 2 years ago to present our first book, Film as Film, the collected writings of Gregory Markopoulos, and very happy to be back here for these screenings related to the Peter Gidal book. Peter began writing and filmmaking at around the same time, approximately 50 years ago, but he sees these as very different practices. As Olivier mentioned, Peter will be here later, so we'll talk more about the book at 8 o'clock this evening. But I just wanted to mention that it contains 16 essays, theoretical essays, and some shorter texts. About half the book is on film, but there are also essays on the work of Samuel Beckett, Andy Warhol, and the painters Gerhard Richter and Therese Walton. And Peter is one of the, I guess, foremost avant-garde filmmakers based in Britain since the 1960s. In the 70s, he was very closely involved with the London Filmmakers Cooperative. And during that period, the works produced at the co-op, much of the work produced at the co-op fell into this style of filmmaking that Peter Gidal termed structural materialist film. So I thought, in his absence, before we watch these three films, which are definitely emblematic of the structural materialist style, I thought I'd read just a couple of short sections from what's kind of, I guess, his most well-known text, Theory and Definition of Structural Materialist Film, that was first published at the end of 1975. This first section is called Production. Each film is a record. I speak much more slowly than Peter. Each film is a record, not a representation, not a reproduction of its own making. Production of relations, shot to shot, shot to image, grain to image, image dissolution to grain, etc., is a basic function which is in direct opposition to reproduction of relations. Elsewhere in this essay, I shall try to further elucidate this problematic of production versus reproduction. I won't go into that for you now. Suffice to say that here, that it is the core of meaning which differentiates illusionist from non-illusionist, from anti-illusionist film. When one states that each film is a record of its own making, this refers to shooting, editing, printing stages, or separations of these, dealt with specifically. Such film militates against dominant narrative cinema. Thus, viewing such a film is at once viewing a film and viewing the coming into presence of the film, i.e., the system of consciousness that produces the work that is produced by and in it. Represented content. Any represented content exists beneath the structure or above it. There is this representational reality one is aiming the camera at. This remains true even if, for example, the representational content is pared down to the film strip itself being pulled through the printer. That, in fact, isn't necessarily a paring down at all. The structural materialist film must minimize the content in its overpowering, imagistically seductive sense in an attempt to get through this miasmic area of experience and proceed with film as film. Devices such as loops or seeming loops, as well as a whole series of technical possibilities can, carefully constructed to operate in the correct manner, serve to veer the point of contact with the film past internal content. The content thus serves as a function upon which, time and time again, a filmmaker works to bring forth the filmic event. The usage of the word content, so far, has been within the common usage, i.e. representational content. In fact, the real content is the form. Form become content. So we're going to look at 3 films. Hall from 68, 69, Focus. No, I think Focus, 1969. Key, 1969. And Room Film, 1973, from 1973. There's one more screening tomorrow that's then repeated again on Monday. And as we mentioned, Peter Gidal will be here at 8 o'clock to talk about the book in the lobby. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.